I'm just going to do a 4% withdrawal rate here.
Okay.
Because that's what most people do. So you're going to notice the taxes here. Derek was talking about this. Notice the account value is going up still.
Yep.
That's kind of proving that point that Derek just said. So this is 2.2 million, right? Now it's at 2.8 million.
Yep.
Because I'm taking out 4%, but it's growing at 6%. So it's still growing increasingly bigger over time, even with the taxes. The taxes are not enough to pull it down.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in two things that usually happen. So I need to add in a cost. So I'm going to add in a management fee of 1.5.
Okay.
Did that. Oops. Here, notice how it's starting to decrease.
So just by that 1.5% being added, that's crazy.
And so now it's going down. So this person, obviously, they don't need to worry about it too much, but they're going to run out of money.
Sure.
But the issue here is, I'm going to do it in just a second just to make sure, because we can run a Monte Carlo simulation here. But the issue is that people don't get 6% every year.
Right.
So as what happens, and we could actually prove this on here too, is people start to move more and more to a 50-50 portfolio in retirement. And even when I say 50-50, I mean 50 equities or stocks and 50% bonds. So half of this money would be in bonds and half this money would be in equities or the stock market.
Earn significantly less too. Bonds are usually 2 to 4%, something like that.
So that's the thing. To get 6% with a 50-50 portfolio, your stock portfolio would have to do like 19 or 20% every year to get a 6%, because the bonds are pulling it down so much.
Right.
So, but that's like what people migrate to. So to get 6% in your retirement years is actually really, really hard, because you have this drag that's so dramatically less than it should, because it's 1%, 2%, 4%. A few years ago, it was negative. So this isn't real, is what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to think of the best way I'm going to look at this really quick. So this is a cool little feature that they have. This is the history of bonds. It's every performance over this. So this is a 30-year history, and this is I can make it whatever I want, but this is 1992, 2022. Here's the Jones with no dividends, 8.82. Here's the S&P 500 with no dividends, 8.94. S&P with dividends, 11.4. The Dow Jones Composite Bond is 4.84. The 10-year Treasury bond is 4.83. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull from this, because even though this wouldn't be terribly, it's going to have some inaccuracies to it, and it's going to be closer than that net of 6. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah.
I'm just going to pull.
And so you can copy all those values for the 30 years that we're looking at in our simulation. You can copy those.
Copy this, and I can put them here. I can paste the values.
Nice.
And so now we're seeing the account balance is now 1.5, and we haven't done anything. So now we're going to go into that sequence of returns that Derek talked about. Run a scenario where we're going to do what's called a Monte Carlo simulation. So it's going to randomly put these sequence of returns, and it's going to determine if there's ever a failure on it. So we'll just do it 100 times for fun. So a minimum balance deemed to be successful. So if it's successful, it's 0 or above. That's probably sufficient.
Okay.
So I was running. So in this situation, it was successful 100 times out of 100.
Nice.
I do want to add one more thing, because this isn't fairly realistic yet. We have to add this. That's good to see, but let me see something. Taxes. Additional income. So they're also going to have additional income because they're going to have Social Security. So which will increase their taxes. So let's try that and see what that produces. But notice they don't get a withdrawal very much. This isn't very much money for someone like this person was making. Remember back, this person was making 133,000.
I think that's what Derek wanted to see. What can you manipulate to make that yellow column 130,000?
Got it.
Because I think that's what Derek wanted to see. So he wanted to see how long could they live at their current, level of living and not run out of money, or are they going to run out of money?
So at the 4% distribution in this scenario with the taxes and account fees as they are, But the issue is look at how it's decreasing.
Yeah.
So they're more and more money. They don't get to take out. They're losing money every single year. So I wonder if there's a way to do it so that we can do a steady withdrawal. Wonder if it'll let me do that. It's not going to let me do that, but we can make it. Let's try this. We can, instead of being 4%, let's do that first year was 89,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, look, he runs out of money if they try to do that. Let's see if it's ever successful, just for fun. I don't think it's going. Let's see if it ever makes it to the end for 30 without running out of money. So that was a 77% success rate, $89,000 a year. But if we did that to replace their full income for 30 years, see how successful, if ever it is. It was never successful. Earliest depletion was 13 years. So they cannot replicate their income, Victor.
Yes.
If I do 133,000, it's not successful ever.
Oh, wow.
So you don't, it failed. And that was only 100 simulations. We could do 10,000, but it takes a long time.
Right. Yeah.
And then the earliest depletion year was 13 years. So 77 was the first year that it ran out of money fully. I'm going to try and see if we increased his savings. Just to see what would happen. He's going to increase it with inflation every year. So now it's 1.26 million. Then we'll do 6% net. 3.1, which is really close to that number that we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's try this. Copy. It's about $1 million more if you have to increase your savings every year. And it's still going to run out of money. Let's see how often it's successful. So I'm pulling out 133,000.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily right because his income was 30 years ago is 133. At the end of that 30 years, it's probably going to be we could figure it out. But this is like basically I'm living off of when I was living off 30 years ago. Does that make sense? Let's just see if that will work if we did that. So this person saved 20% of their income. It's not looking good. Look, see all that red?
Yeah.
So 42% of the time it worked. And then the rest of the time it didn't. So 68% failure rate, 42% success rate. Earliest depletion was 19 years. Largest remaining balance is 1.5 million. So what this means is if you're asking the client to do that, you're asking them to take on
a gamble of
kind of risk that they had. Like there's a chance they could run out of money in 19 years.
That's 84. That's, I mean, people are living to 84. That's a gamble. Yeah.
Yes. So, but then there's a chance you could have 1.5 million, but it's not sure. There's no no one's going to be like, yeah, let's sign me up for that plan. And I'm going to go all board on taking 133 out every year. So in this scenario, 41% of the time, the largest remaining balance is only 615 and it did at 21. So you get some cool things like that. But now let's see if you wanted to increase let's just take that away again. But let's just say you want to increase your takeout because inflation's happening.
Yeah.
What happens? Just to see how often that goes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. A lot of red. I would guess it's probably going to be in the teens.
0. Doesn't work. You can't
Wow.
increase your income. So the thing that I like about this is this person saved 20% of their income for 30 years, earning a 6% net, which is pretty typical of what people do. And they cannot replicate their income to where they were when they retired.
Right. That's wild.
It's pretty intense. Like that it's really like, I know people and so that's why you're going to hear things in the industry as you move is, well, everyone decreases their spending in retirement. So you don't spend as much. And cause you don't have kids and your house payments paid off and you might not be traveling as much. But I think the reason that people don't spend as much is because they know that they're going to run out of money if they spend enough.
Right. They would want to spend, they just don't.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. I'll have Derek look at this. That was an interesting procedure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to look at with this?
Off the top of my head, and for the time being, no. But I could go down so many rabbit holes of this. It looks like it would be a lot of fun to just dive into a million different things. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it just is really fascinating to me. Why, like 20% isn't even, I'm curious. I just want to know something.
And also nobody's saving 20%, like no one. Like
As someone that's in our range of client more so, let me just see really quick. So we have, let's just do someone that makes 500,000. So that's 100 grand, right? Yeah. 100,000 saved. Okay. So they have 11 million. I just want to see what 500,000 is at the last year. So,
yeah.
So 500,000. So by the end of it, they will be making 1.1 million. So they're making 1.1 million at age 64. So that's their income,
Right.
500,000. Let's look at this now. So cash flow one is this. Copy, paste. What was
1.1.
100,000?
Yeah.
No,
No, they were 1.1 was what they were making.
400,000 is what they're pulling out.
Okay.
That's their income in year one.
Right.
Even the same, yeah, it's going to produce the same thing. Let's just check it out.
Wow.
They can't increase their income. They're stuck at 400,000. Like if we make this zero again, it will probably go back up to the 40% range.
Mm-hmm.
Their taxes are a lot bigger too, because they make so much.
Right.
Oh, so they can take out, they can take out 400,000 89 times.
Nice.
And they can't improve that. And their largest account balance was 11 million at the end. So that's like, you could tell someone like they could live that life if they wanted to. But the issue is they were making 1.1 million before.
Right. In retirement. So they're taking more than a half step, more than a full step back, like a half step.
Yeah. So let's just try 600,000. What's the percentage on this?
Oh, 0.
So that's really, we can't even get it to half. Let's see what 500,000 is.
Maybe that will be in the sweet spot. Maybe that's like 40%. We'll see.
Yeah, there are some wins.
Wow.
This is unbelievable. Like that's just straight bonds, which
Right.
is basically as conservative as you can go. But you can't, if you're going to increase your risk on the other side, you're increasing the risk of this failing more often.
Right.
This is really, it's interesting to think about this. This is just a good thinking thing because there's just too many failures.
Do they have a list of dividends paid by life insurance companies for the last 30 years too? Because here we're having to account for some years of losses. And this right here, what we're looking at, this is not volatility buffer, right? This is living off of retirement income.
Yeah, this is just if they didn't have, but there's some cool calculators. This distribution calculator, you can run two scenarios. You can run this scenario.
Oh, cool.
If you had life insurance instead of the bonds.
Yeah.
You can actually play with it and determine. But inside of this calculator, asset flow, you can make this cool thing where you can replace someone's bond portfolio with life insurance.
Oh, sick.
The overall outcome in the long term. And just for spoiler alert, it performs a heck of a lot better. Like you should keep your equity side and replace all bond side with life insurance and you'll perform way better.
That makes total sense.
You just have the negatives, and the negatives hurt when you don't make very much.
That's right.
The peaks aren't high. So the peaks are high in the market. So they're going up to 30, 40% times. But this one still has negatives and your peaks are 10. Is that what the highest is?
11, 15, 115.
They're just 17, but like, they're just not, the peaks aren't as high. So it hurts more. It takes a lot longer to build back. So it's a lot rougher for you.
Especially they took a 10% hit one year. That's huge for what they're making.
Right. It's not good. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully it's helpful. I'll send you the recording if you wanted to watch it again. I'll send it to you and Derek.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
See ya.
We'll see ya.